The brown, proud, and excited eyes of Betsy Ross were the first things I saw. She had just finished sewing on my whitest snow stripes, and I could tell she was very proud of herself. She started putting her sewing supplies away when President George Washington walked in. He asked her in a large, bellowing voice, "Have you finished the American flag yet?" "Yes, sir, Mr. Washington," she replied. I thought back to what Mr. Washington had said. So that's what my name is, the American flag. I felt some sense of pride and importance. I now knew what I stood for. I stood for liberty and new birth. And anybody that lives in or would come to America would know that. July 1st, 1898, Battle of San Juan Hill. I felt myself being carried and my pole being planted into the soft dirt. I looked around me. There was dust everywhere, but I could still see Colonel Theodore Roosevelt and a couple of his Rough Riders. Their facial expressions were of pure satisfaction and triumph. Finally, the dust had cleared and the sky was blue. Colonel Roosevelt and his Rough Riders gathered in for a photo. I then realized I not only stood for liberty and new birth, but also victory and freedom. And I knew Theodore and his Rough Riders knew that too. During World War II in 1945, on Iwo Jima, which was a Japanese island, I could feel myself being raised. I looked down and saw 6 brave Marines. They had gazes of hope on their ash-covered faces. I glanced around me and saw death and destruction. I was wondering how these 6 Marines could have so much hope despite what was happening. But then I stared back down at their faces, and I realized they knew their country is not done fighting. They were willing to risk their lives because they were loyal to their country. They showed that I also stand for hope and loyalty. September 11th, 2001. It was dark. I was buried in the rubble. I thought I was done for. But then there was a light. Some firefighters raised me up. I watched their faces. They looked strong. They looked courageous. I viewed the other people around me, and I saw that they had the same appearance. Truth was, I knew underneath they were very scared. But when they saw me raised from the rubble, they knew their country was not dead. Their country represented liberty, new birth, victory, freedom, hope, loyalty, and courage. And I was there to remind them that. But most of all, I reminded them God is not done with them yet. And when they look at their flag, they remember all God has done for them, and that only He can raise them from the rubble.